No long intro. Pain and Drawdown. Now, this one certainly it's not unforeseen. We've talked about this in my video maybe a couple weeks ago when I passed the challenge, where I talked about my last verification. I was down I believe it was 9.4% in drawdown, and ultimately ended up coming back to make about $17 in profit, where I ended up getting a retry. Now, the same thing is occurring again. Last week was my first losing week in about 2.5 months. So, since late August, I haven't had a losing week since then, up until last week. And although knowing that I wasn't going to go without a losing week forever, it still it still hurts and it still stings. And in today's video, I'll be talking about pain and drawdown and how I'm dealing with it. And hopefully that gives you guys some insights on my thinking process and where I go for strength and what I look for when I'm undergoing certain difficulties in my own personal trading. Let's see what Nietzsche says. He says, one has to test oneself to see that one is destined for independence and command, and do it at the right time. One should not dodge one's test, though they may be the most dangerous game one could play, and are tests that are taken in the end before no witnesses or judge but ourselves. Now, this is very important because I plan on stretching myself thin. I want to see what I'm capable of. And although this trading sometimes it feels like it's going to break me mentally and physically, oddly enough. Every trading session at the end it feels like I've gone to war. And it's not even war against the markets, but it feels like I've gone to war with my own self, my own thinking patterns, my own self-doubts and limiting beliefs. Every trading session, it's like I've just done a workout. And afterwards, I'm mentally and physically exhausted because before even entering certain trades, there are certain thinking patterns. Oh, what's going to happen? Will my stop loss get hit? Was my analysis right? Maybe I should wait for a better entry. There's so many moving parts before every trade, when you're in the trade, and afterwards. And they all seem to be different. Before the trade, you have certain thinking patterns. When you're in the trade, you have certain thinking patterns, which usually is, oh, close the trade or close it in profit. That's good enough. Or you don't want to get stopped out. Let's close the trade and call it a day. Or moving your stop loss to break even too early. There are so many things when you're in the trade. And even when you do try to go away, at least for me personally, I'll put a trade in, stop loss is set, and I'll move away for a while. And attempting to do something to keep my mind off the trade is futile. In Ecclesiastes, it actually talks about this a lot. Everything is futile, literally everything. It had quite a negative tone throughout, Ecclesiastes, but overall, it's not that bad. But it seemed very futile. I can't escape the feeling when I'm in the trade. I can't escape the negative thoughts and the self-limiting beliefs and the self-doubts. And I try to have these inner positive conversations with myself to keep me from making bad decisions, to keep me from closing my trades too early, which is something we've talked about on the channel, which I will be working on. That's why now I don't close any trades. It hits my take profit at the 3-to-1 win to rate. I mean, risk to reward ratio, or a 5-to-1, which is usually what I aim for with my one shot one kill. But for the past 2 weeks, I haven't had any winning trades at all. I mean, none. Had a trade be in profit for about 3%. Put my stop to break even, and I wanted to hold on because I'm looking for my one shot, one kill. And lo and behold, it comes back and it hits my stop loss. I break even. Do I get upset? Not necessarily. But let's actually take a look at a character. It's a Bible character, and see, because he was going through some hardships himself. Here's what we see. His name's Habakkuk. See, Habakkuk was a prophet, and he faced many hardships. And at one point, he seems to doubted whether God even cared about him. So he poured out his feelings to Jehovah in a prayer. And let's actually take a look at what he said. We'll read Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. It says, "How long, O Jehovah, must I cry for help, but you do not hear? How long must I ask for help from violence, but you do not intervene? Why do you make me witness wrongdoing? Why do you tolerate oppression? Why are destruction and violence before me? And why do quarreling and conflict abound?" Now, the prophet himself, he was going through some hard times because back then he was seeing a lot of things. I mean, terrible things, much like today. But I resonated with this verse because I have cried for help towards Jehovah. And sometimes I'm not sure he hears me. And oftentimes I really ask myself, all right, am I going to have to do this on my own? Because it seems as if there's no help coming my way. And I have, throughout the years, I've adopted your classic mindset, knowing no one's coming to save you. So I wake up early and stay up late, day in and day out, week in and week out, months in and months out. And it's been years now. Just trying to find out, how do I make this thing work? And at times, I do doubt, and I do feel as if Jehovah doesn't care about me. Because for some time now, after losing my last funded account, this has been my definite chief aim. There's nothing else I've been thinking about. I've had no other goals. This has been the thing I'm laser focused on. Sure, I want to build a track record. Sure, I want to compete in Robins. Sure, I want to start my own fund. Sure, I want outside investors and outside capital. Yeah, whatever. Sure, I want more subscribers on YouTube. But yeah, all that takes a backseat to getting funded again. And time again, I've been denied. After failing some challenges, being able to pass a challenge late July, heading into August, incurring 9.4% drawdown, being able to come back from that and making $17 in profit, and now having to retry the whole challenge again. So starting from phase 1, passing phase 1 last month, and now being in a position to take the verification again, and yet I'm down 5% in drawdown. I mean, there's no way for me to actually deal with this. I try to return to philosophy. I return back to my nature. And sometimes, I remember last week what I did, I looked back at my journal and seeing how I dealt with the drawdown that I incurred last time, which was, I was $600 away from failing the verification. And as I read my journal entries and my personal thoughts, oddly enough, there was a sense of serenity in my beliefs and the way I felt, as if there was nothing on the line. And now I tried to replicate that feeling, but to no avail. I can't seem to replicate that sense of calmness I had when I was down 9+%. When now I'm only down. Right now it's 4.2%. I put 5 because on paper it seems better, but it's not exactly 5%. So I'm in a better position now than I was late August. But I can't seem to replicate that sense of serenity. I'm not sure if it's because of my self-doubts and limiting beliefs, and whether or not I believe maybe Chris last time was just luck. Maybe last time you coming back from 9% drawdown was lucky. You probably won't get lucky again. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but I can't seem to replicate that feeling. And just like Habakkuk did in the verse, he poured out his feelings to Jehovah in a prayer when he said this. And I've done so myself quite so recently, maybe a couple days ago or last week. And I do so every day. This has been the thing I've longed for so long, and yet it's been so far away from me. And in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 and 3, Job actually answered his prayers. We won't read that verse itself, but let's actually see how Habakkuk felt after receiving his answer from Jehovah, because he was filled with a sense of renewed joy, and he became convinced that God actually cared for him and God would actually help him to endure any trials. Let's actually take a look at this. It says, although the fig tree may not blossom, and there may be no fruit on the vines, although the olive crop may fail, and the fields may produce no food, although the flock may disappear from the pen, and there may be no cattle in the stalls. Yet, as for me, I will exalt in Jehovah. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. The sovereign Lord Jehovah is my strength. He will make my feet like those of a deer and cause me to tread on high places. Now, that's how Habakkuk felt after receiving his answer from Jehovah. And at times, especially about a couple hours ago, I was watching this documentary about, people that aren't as well off as I am. And I felt this. And I felt this sense that, hey man, I'm blessed. I haven't been dealt the best of hands, but man, I've been dealt a great hand. And I certainly feel joyful, in Jehovah God. And the thing is, as I examine my life throughout the years, and I certainly see and understand that there's been so many things that Jehovah has helped me through, so many things I've done and accomplished that without his help I know I couldn't have done. And yet I still feel this sense of abandonment, because for me personally, the thing I want most he won't give me. Is it because I'm not ready? Is it because there's more lessons to learn? Well, I have 4 different journals. One for spiritual stuff, one for my own personal thoughts and beliefs, one for my trading entries, and another one just to take notes when it comes to studying ICT. I've dedicated my life to this so far. And it's my voice is gone. And it's been years now, and I've put in the time, I've put in the effort, and yet it seems so far away. I wake up early, I stay up late, I do the extra work, and yet it seems so far away. And what is upsetting most is the fact that last week when I occurred most of this drawdown, because this week I got stopped out last night, which was about 0.5%, so $500 or so. So no big deal, and it was my only trade for the week. So only lost 0.5% this week. So most of my losses came from last week. And as I look back, I really did put my best foot forward. These were the best trading ideas I could come up with, the best setups I could find, and they were in alignment with what I usually look for. And I took them. And it was so silly. I went short on EU. GU showed the same setup. I was looking at both. I decided EU was a better short. EU stops me out, GU goes lower. Next day, I short GU, GU stops me out, EU goes lower. I mean, these things seemingly they're out of my control. I'm not sure if there's a way around it, but from what I've seen, there's no video about this. There's no way for me to understand and to know which one to pick. Sure, I'll pick the weaker pair or stronger pair based on divergence, and I've done so. And yet, I still got stopped out. And I even contemplated last week making a video, and I wanted to title it When Your Best Isn't Enough. And that certainly was how I felt last week. It felt as if my best was not enough. I honestly did my best. I followed my plan to the best of my ability. To no prevail. Or to no avail, I must say. It simply didn't work out. And now, looking back at it, in hindsight, I understand, alright, there's nothing I could have done any differently, really. Maybe I should have just not traded at all if I had known that would have been the outcome. But I didn't know so. And I try to make changes in my psychology. And I spend lots of time working on this. And at times, I do get upset. I do ask God, come on, this is the one thing, just the one thing I've been working towards for years. I mean, not for years, but for months now. It's been months, man. It's been months. My last funded account was late last year, maybe October or November, when I lost it. Since then, I've been working my way trying to get back to this, and I haven't been able to do so. Haven't. Time and time again, I've been close. Like I've been close in July and August, and I'm close to right now. But then there are these roadblocks that come in my way, and I understand that with opportunity comes difficulty. And that's the wonderful thing about it. I want to stretch myself thin. I want to see what I'm truly made of. When things get hard, what do I do? What does Chris do? What does he do when things get hard? Well, I'll tell you what, I won't give up. That's for sure. That's certainly for sure. There's one thing I know. I won't give up unless I'm physically incapacitated or I'm dead. I'll be in these markets. I quit my job months ago. I literally now trade and go to school. That's it. That's literally it. All my time is devoted to this. And yet, it seems like it's not enough. So I ask, how much more will I have to do? And I certainly do it. I keep my foot on the pedal all day, every day. And I'll be putting these videos out because I'm sure eventually these markets will break, not me. I'm not going to break. I'll be upset. I'll be sad. Sure, I'll have losing trades. I'll have losing weeks. But I won't give up. And eventually, it's going to have to go my way. It's either that, or I don't know what else. There is no other way. And for me, it's my way or the highway. I will be successful. There's no other way around it. I've been bit by this bug for a couple years now. And until I am where I want to be, I'll never stop trading these markets. Sure, I'll get stopped out on stupid, silly trades like the ones from last week, where I don't understand how this could stop me out. I really didn't, but it did. Those days, I understand. I'll take my losses, and I'll be okay with it. But overall, I'll never quit. And the lesson for me, especially when it comes to Habakkuk's situation, is that when we face hardships, pray to God and tell him how you feel. And of course, look to him for support. And when you do, you can be confident that Jehovah will give you the strength you need to endure. And when you feel his support, your faith in him will grow stronger. And my faith certainly has. especially after, let's say, bringing me back from that 9% drawdown. I mean, I was in a place where I probably took maybe 1 or 2 trades a week for a couple of weeks, and that's what helped me. And that's one of the mistakes I made last week. I took, I think, 6 trades last week. I haven't taken 6 trades in about what, months now. I've been strictly a 1 to 3 trades per week kind of guy for the past 2.5 months, and I've been profitable for those 2.5 months. And the minute I reverted to taking so many trades, and I ended up having a terrible week. So, which is exactly what I tried to improve on this week. Taking the best trade I could possibly take, and I took it last night, my only trade, and I still ended up getting stopped out. That I'm okay with. I'll be making all the adjustments. I'll do everything in my power. I'll keep my decisions and my trading process based rather than outcome based. Whether I pass or fail this verification certainly will hurt. It will sting. But I will follow my plan. I will do my best to be the best trader that I can be. I wish there was a way. Well, I don't. But sometimes I do ask, man, I wish this could be easier. But I understand this is the price. This is the price that I have to pay. And I certainly hope you guys understand this too. And for any of you that do end up going through drawdown, understand this, man. We actually talked about this in my last video. It was actually a quote from the Stoics. I didn't write it on here, but Marcus Aurelius said in Meditations that the art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, and that it stands ready for what comes and is not thrown by the unforeseen. And no matter how much I read these, I understand every trade I take, the risk. So I'm not thrown by the unforeseen. I understand this is a wrestling match. No, the markets will try to take me down. They will go for the single leg. They will go for the high crotch. And yet, it still hits me like a truck. It still does. I'm not sure what it is. No, but I suppose it is human nature. I'm quite the sensitive guy, very sensitive. I'm sensitive to positive emotion. I'm certainly sensitive to negative emotion. In these markets, every session, I come back as if I've just gone to war. Physically and mentally exhausted, but mainly mentally. Every session, when I come back, I always need to take a nap. Because there's so much that goes on in my head when it comes to analyzing these markets and fighting my own metaphorical demons that I need to take a nap afterwards. So I don't want to drag this on too long. This has certainly been a rant. I've had a comment. One of you guys said, "You talk too much," which I thought was comical. I'm like, this is my channel, man. If you don't want to listen to what I have to say and don't want to watch the videos, just don't. It's fine. I'm not. It won't really hurt me, but I thought that was funny. So, if you guys do think I talk too much, if you guys want to see more pattern recognition and strictly trading ideas based videos and maybe not these sorts of videos, let me know. I'll cut it back and I'll keep things like that to myself. But I've seen some of your comments and I understand some of you guys actually want this type of content, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that goes through these thinking patterns. So with all that being said, understand, hey, these markets, it's not a dance, man. We can't predict what the next person's going to do, when the next beat's going to drop. This is a wrestling match. It's fast, high pace. You get tired, and it's dangerous. So let's keep on kicking, and I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I didn't realize it was Thanksgiving until I checked on my phone. I asked Siri, when is Thanksgiving, and she told me today is. And then of course I thought, then why was I trading last night? Of course, small mistake there, and Small price to pay, small errors. I doubt Thanksgiving was the reason why I had the losing trade, but overall, certainly another thing I can get better at. So, one day at a time, one trade at a time, man. We'll see where this leads us, guys. Down in the account, but not down and out. So, believe in me. I'll pull this off. I've done it before, and I'll do it again, and I'll do it over and over again. And if I don't do it now, I'll do it in the future. So, take care and happy Thanksgiving.